Okay, quick market update. Looking at Bitcoin here, it's just been a chop fest, right? I know alts have gotten rinsed, gotten washed out a little bit. I say rinsed, it was like 10 to 15% pullback across the board, not like a super deep correction. They basically gave back a lot of what they gained off of this latest attack towards the top of the range for Bitcoin. Still looking at Bitcoin here, despite the timeline being super bearish all of a sudden, right? The timeline was like super bearish down here. We ripped upwards. Timeline got super bullish up here, super bullish, right? And then a little bit of a pullback. All of a sudden, the timeline on crypto Twitter, super bearish again. Despite that, there is nothing yet that I see personally in the Bitcoin chart that would indicate any amount of bearishness so far. Now, if we take out this little trend line right here, you could make the argument for some short-term bearishness retest. And what I've been kind of saying is the retest that I want to see hold this entire time, especially when we were coming down here, is the midpoint of this entire range, right? We kind of front ran that and moved back up. As of right now, we have what is a very bullish pattern. Cup and handle, inverse head and shoulders. Look at how, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attempts at the top of the range, right? Essentially one, you could call it 2 or 3 attempts at the bottom, right? If you're willing to include these two, these over here, which were higher, maybe you add in another 2 or 3 attempts towards the bottom of the range. But we are gravitating towards the top of the range here. We are trying to break through roughly $71,500. We are market structure is bullish on the high time frames. If we zoom all the way out, we are in a massive uptrend with higher lows, right? If you zoom in to the shorter term time frames, we are in an uptrend with higher highs and higher lows, right? Taking yes, this is a double top, sure. You can also say, we're developing an ascending triangle here, which is a bullish, breakout pattern that mostly resolves to the upside. You could say in the bigger picture, we're potentially developing an ascending triangle, right? 2 attacks here, right? Maybe we come all the way back down to this, ascending triangle breakout to the upside, right? I just don't see, despite the fact that yes, shorts have decent risk reward, there's a lot of room down here and not a lot of room up here within the range. Despite shorts having good risk reward, I just don't see from a market structure perspective why we would be wanting to flip bearish on Bitcoin and crypto in general just yet. For me, we take out the mid range. Yes, happy to flip bearish if we see something like this develop. Take out this trend line. Happy to flip bearish. Happy to, and initially when we talked about DXY, and we're kind of getting that nightmare situation out of DXY and had to de-risk a little bit. Nothing crazy, but this is the scenario where we talked about DXY was finally breaking down from this trend, right? We got the retest. It looked like it confirmed, right? And then all of a sudden, some news comes out. I think it's somehow related to the digital yuan. I could be wrong on that, but DXY just ripping upwards. Okay, well, it's ripping upwards. It still kind of has to confirm in general here, right? We're probably going to get a little bit of a pullback and look for it to confirm and bounce and revalidate this trend line. We could get a double fake out. We could get DXY coming right back down. We're getting a lot of choppy volatility right now, which is difficult to trade. So for me personally, I've just remained long on crypto, de-risked a little bit on this DXY pump, particularly in some meme coins that I was in. But my 2 biggest bets this entire market cycle have been Trump domination, Trump token domination, and Trump's domination in the election polls leading into the election. That has done extraordinarily well. We've got to change this chart a little bit to see it better. But still hanging on here, still doing quite well. Bottomed out around $10, $11, pumping up here to $13, $14, trying to form a bottom. I'm very bullish on Trump for the remainder of this election cycle, and we're just heating up, right? So that has done extraordinarily well. And then my other big thesis for this entire market cycle which has just been chopping along with Bitcoin as it often trades as Bitcoin beta. I've got a lot of random lines here, just, don't really need to have those. Is Dogecoin a Dogecoin ETF? My belief is that we're going to get a Dogecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and or Litecoin Cash ETF. I am not the only person that thinks that, despite the fact that people have called me crazy for thinking that we're going to get a Dogecoin ETF. Arthur Hayes came out. Arthur Hayes and Raoul Pal did a YouTube video together. I think it was yesterday. Arthur Hayes says he is actively working on a Dogecoin ETF and expects a Dogecoin ETF approval by the end of this market cycle, before the end of this market cycle, right? This is one of my biggest theses of this entire market cycle, is that Dogecoin will get an ETF and run again. Price action for Dogecoin and the long, on the high time frames still looks great. If we got to like the monthly and the weekly, remove all this, right? Still looks very constructive. So I know it's been choppy recently, and I know the entire market has decided to all of a sudden be bearish because we got rejected from the top of the range on the short-term timeframes and because DXY is pumping here. But I personally don't think it's time yet to turn bearish. I think there will be very clean signs in market structure for Bitcoin for us to actually flip bearish. XMR, Monero, that I do want to roll over this chart real quick because this is very interesting, and I think there's a decent trade to be made here. We're starting to see it kind of like this parabolic acceleration out of Monero on the daily chart. If we zoom out, we're attacking a pretty key resistance level. I think looking for a Monero long here on some sort of a pullback is smart. And I've also, again, it's not a popular asset. I don't even know if I have it saved to my favorites. There we go. Not a super popular asset. But the other privacy coin that generally runs with Monero is Zcash. So I've entered a small Z. I'm keeping it small because I don't have super high expectations for Zcash in general. But you could have said the same thing about Monero, a few weeks ago. And Monero's been doing extraordinarily well. Zcash usually follows to some degree, right? They're very correlated assets as their both privacy tokens, right? So not necessarily expecting Zcash to blow its wheels off and see an insane run, but you have to ask yourself, why is Monero running? Not entirely sure, but these are correlated assets, and usually you see some form of a catch up if Monero really starts taking off, right? So yeah, Zcash definitely the underperformer between the two, but we're starting to see some divergence here in Monero going up. Wouldn't be surprised to see a little Zcash pump. Again, Zcash is a very underperforming asset. Is this something that I want to sit and hold for years? No, it's been down only. It's only now starting to try to bottom out and go sideways. But wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pump here in an otherwise very choppy market if Monero can sustain this bid. So just wanted to toss that out there for anybody who's looking for a trade idea. Not the best trade idea in the world, but I think it's completely valid in a choppy market like this. You can kind of see some isolated bids and some weird random stuff like that. So we'll see if that plays out. But again, keeping it small. Otherwise, I think it's just a matter of being patient. Going back to the Bitcoin chart for the third time here before we wrap up. I think it's just a matter of being patient, not getting chopped out of the market, not over trading here, just staying patient, waiting for Bitcoin to play its hand, whether it's going to, take out this trend line and move downwards or break out through $71,000, $72,000. I personally view this entire price action, this entire pattern here, this entire range that we've been in for around 100 days as being bullish. I lean bullish on this type of price action in general. Hope this was helpful. This video is sponsored by RabbitX, a best-in-class decentralized derivatives exchange. So if you want to trade there are links in the description on YouTube. Head over to Sistine.ai if you want to grab the indicators bundle and or sign up for our research hub. Otherwise, have a great day and rest of your week. Peace.